You have the pledge.
Sure.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here for this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Before we get started, as always, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. So would everybody please rise? And Councilman Schneider, would you lead us, please?
Be my honor. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if you please remain standing for a moment of silence and reflect upon the sacrifices that our servicemen and women in law enforcement make on a daily basis, as well as the sacrifices that their families make while they serve us. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Jonathan. Okay, once again, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all at home for watching tonight's meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Today's date is Wednesday, October 10th, 2018. And prior to coming out here for our public session, we had met an executive session to discuss 3 items. We met at 6 p.m. Board vacancy interview. That would be for the ECB board. Councilman Mike Borelli updated us on the Mahopac Tompkins Bank property. That was contractual. And budget fiscal year 2019 personnel items that the board discussed. So for the record, all board members are present with the exception of Councilwoman McDonough, who couldn't be with us tonight because of a prior commitment. All right, so we're going to get started with the work session. First item is the review of the town board minutes of September 19th, 2018. Unless any town board members would like to discuss those minutes, we're going to move on. So the first item on the agenda, Mary Ann Maxwell, Town Comptroller. Mary Ann, welcome. And Ann Pasquarella, Supervisor's Office. They had met to discuss this item, and it's to consider request to authorize and advertise for bids for the purchase and installation of backup service for the Town of Carmel IT Department. Mary Ann?
Good evening. The town currently has 4 servers, and last year we replaced 2 servers, 2 G10 servers, and that was TH1 and TH4. This year, 2018, we have budgeted to replace the TH2 server and the PD1 server. The PD1 server services the police department, and TH1 services several different applications and softwares that the town uses. So we are requesting that the board authorizes us to advertise for bid for the cost of these servers. It is estimated to be at approximately $20,000 for the cost of the servers. So we're just looking to get the authorization to advertise for bid.
Okay. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns for this item with Mary Ann, the servers?
No.
Could you please
make the
speak
print
up
big?
font next time?
Sorry.
I'm
Yeah, I
old, I
know.
can't see it.
It is pretty small. There's a lot of information on there.
I'm wondering if you could help me out. In a lot of the industries that I work with our clients, when presently the way the technology is going, when they're looking at upgrading their technology in-house, a lot are starting to look at software as a service. That's more of a cloud-based thing, and I'm not sure if there's anything that municipality software has that you guys have researched, only because it's a large amount that we do put into the infrastructure, when maybe it's something we should be looking at allocating more towards the software side. And I wasn't sure if municipality even is up to speed with software as a service right now, as opposed to the speed that other industries have adopted that.
Yeah, you know what, I know we did talk to Ann, and you may remember as well, we did speak to Glenn Sullivan about the cloud, instead of, buying the servers and working off the cloud. I don't recall, I'm not sure if, Ann, you remember what his response was to that?
He was going to do some research for the
That's-
PD1 server, because I believe that was one of the, not that it was going to be one of the, he was just going to investigate it further, because it was recommended by previous audits that maybe we should start looking into the cloud, which is basically
That's exactly
AOL.
what it is, right, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Exactly,
It's
yeah. I
your-
don't think he had an answer for us. I think
The concern he had was the retrieval in the event of, if there was a major crash, or if there was a major hacking, so to speak, that to retrieve a lot of the information would be a little more difficult as opposed to having it on a server
hard
backup.
server, yeah.
Hard server
Yeah.
backup,
Okay.
Yeah, I think he had his concerns, but
yeah.
he was going to look into it. I
Yes,
think, I
he
remember we
was.
did talk to him about it, but
Yes,
we'll follow up with him on it.
sure.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely something that each year going forward, the technology is just improving more and more, and I think it's something that we're eventually going to be moving over to, but I don't want to see
Yeah.
us move over prematurely when the software platform hasn't, unfortunately, we've seen too many times, especially with our software in your department,
Yes.
having to change because it
Exactly.
just doesn't do what we're looking for.
Yeah, yeah.
But I
and
appreciate you guys doing the research to see if there is an alternative that's out there.
Yeah, no, we did look into that. And I know the police department currently uses Impact 3, and I think they're having some issues with that, but they're trying to figure that out. The PD server that we're looking to replace will be compatible with other softwares out there. So we did talk to him about that. I think Lieutenant Dearman and Chief Gazzario were in the meeting with us when we met with Glenn Sullivan. So they were all, on, actually, I don't think it was Lieutenant Dearman. I think it was Neil.
Brown?
Neil
It was Neil, yeah.
Neil
So,
Brown.
anyway,
Great.
so, yeah. So I think we're just looking to advertise for bid now, and, we'll move forward from there.
Good, thank you.
Okay? Yep.
Okay, thanks, Ian. Thanks, Mary Ann. Okay, next item, number 2, also Mary Ann and Sergeant Laura Smith. Laura, thanks for being here. Cornwall PD, consider request to accept the proposal for the purchase and installation of alarm billing software.
Okay, so Sergeant Smith and I met a couple times, probably over the last 6 months. We've been meeting with Eileen Brennan, myself, and Laura to go over, right now, the accounting department does the billing for the alarms, and they use this old DOS system. It's very ancient and inefficient. It's like one of those old green screens.
It's DOS?
Yes, it is. It's ancient. I think, Kenny, I think you've seen the bills that we've had to
Yeah,
print out.
I
So
have.
we,
I
this has
actually had
been
to pay
something-
one, and to try to get accounting to locate what I had to pay.
Yeah.
Took a little bit of time.
Exactly. So,
One there for you.
I know, I made sure I shored up all my alarm fees, and I got rid of that alarm company, so
Yeah.
that's not an ongoing process, problem, yeah.
so we found this A1 Business Solution. So if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So as you know, it is a little bit difficult, the alarm billing system here. As Marianne had just mentioned, we moved over to Impact 3 earlier this March, and there is an actual alarm activity tab in Impact 3, whereas officers specify the reason for the alarm. The Carmel Town Code calls for billing for malfunctions and human error. Now the officer literally goes in, notes that it was a human error or was a malfunction, not caused by an emergency. And then what happens monthly is that I compile the list, I weed out all of the legitimate alarms, and then I send the list up to Eileen in accounting. And sometimes it's like 100 alarms deep. And she manually puts in all this info into this DOS system, one by one, and there's a lot. And then after the third false alarm of the year, you get your first bill, and she has to go back and then look in your record for each alarm and then determine that you've had 3 or more false alarms on the year. So essentially, this program offered by A1 Business Solutions works well with Impact 3. You can export all of your billing information, all your alarm information, right from Impact 3 to his program. Seamlessly, Bedford uses it, Briarcliff uses it. They aren't experiencing any problems. It tracks each alarm permit number, key holder information, so it's also helpful to the PD, because now when we respond to an alarm, we'll be able to say, oh, this house doesn't have an alarm, or this business doesn't have an alarm permit, and then we could send them hey, you need to have an alarm on permit here. So it sends out a mass mailing for alarm renewals, and it keeps track of all of your alarms. So it will, one, come up in the technology, get rid of that obsolete DOS system, and also increase efficiency between alarm billing between the PD, the accounting office, and the comptroller's office. So you guys have examples there
Yeah.
of the 2 bills. One of them is the renewal
This is
bill.
Bedford's.
Yeah.
They're much better.
like
Yeah, one of them, the top one is the false alarm bill. So after your third one, you would start getting that bill. Obviously, you could cut off the bottom and send it in with your check. And the second one is the yearly renewal, which I believe goes out in like October. ish.
January, yeah.
For January, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something that we could get done all in one shot.
Laura, how is the, when the alarms come in, the fire department is dispatched, you're dispatched, so there's a record of the dispatch?
Correct.
Is that how we track the false alarms, let's say? So, and how does, how is that tracked, in which system? It's
In Impact.
It's in Impact?
Yeah, so every time, every call, whether it's an alarm or, an aided or whatever, dispatch takes the call and you're automatically generated a blotter number. So every alarm blotter, I'm able to then pull that report at the end of the month. And then I go through those alarms to weed out the legitimate alarms via the false alarms. And then I give the false alarms to accounting.
Okay.
So will this software eliminate the step of the dispatch entering? Because now it'll be the officer responding that enters directly?
No, dispatch will still have to put in every call that they get via phone, via radio, or whatnot. What this will do is now, instead of when I generate the report at the end of the month, we will export all the alarm calls right into this business, this A1 business program. So now accounting no longer has to one by one hand put every alarm into the system and then generate a bill.
So this is a bridge between Impact?
Impact, yes.
Will communicate to A1,
Correct.
will communicate
Yep.
to our accounting software?
Well,
No, we'll use
Okay, so
A1.
there's not a
No,
bridge
it-
to the accounting
No,
software?
no.
Yeah,
Okay.
A1,
The
accounting will use
accounting
it.
department will have A1 on their computers, because they're gonna be doing the collecting of the
Right.
payments.
But
So-
they'll still have to manually take from A1, put it into the accounting system.
Well, there really doesn't go into the accounting system. The accounting system is just the general ledger. So
Okay.
when like, say we get, like 50 checks, then those checks will get deposited and it just goes into the revenue account.
So this is strictly a system, just alarms, it'll keep
Tracking
track of
alarms.
what's out there as receivables, and it basically will give you a full history, a CRM software of just alarms.
yes.
Okay, I got it now, thank you.
Yeah, and we're also looking at accepting credit cards as well.
I was gonna ask if
Yeah.
you can send it out
Yes.
like renewals, it'll be like a lot of people do with QuickBooks, just click here to pay your invoice.
Yeah,
and
I think
you're off.
what we talked to them about is getting a link on our website that
Okay.
you can just click on the link. I don't think people would really come in to actually pay an alarm bill with a credit card. I think they most likely would do it online.
Right.
So we'll get a link online with, with that, so that you can do that,
Okay.
okay?
Sounds like it should definitely increase the efficiency between what your roles are and then carrying over to accounting as well. So it seems like it's worth the investment for the time savings alone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and the cost of the conversion is $3,000, and installation and training is $750. So the total cost of the conversion and training is under $4,000, and then we'll pay $175 a month for the ongoing software, maintenance, software.
Yeah, he's
Of the
located out of Brewster. So
Yes,
he's
he's local,
and
right.
he's been very responsive to all my emails, phone calls, so.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes highly recommended from the other agencies that are currently using the system.
Laura, you review the blotters once a month,
Yes.
just for the alarms?
I try to do it twice a month because there's a
Nope.
lot.
Yeah, and you just look at the disposition on it and see what that is. If the house is secure, if they go to a residential alarm and it's secure,
Yep.
so they're just going to indicate that it appeared secure?
Correct.
So that, after 3 of those, right, or on the third one?
Well, a lot of times it's, say, for instance, the cleaning lady came and she never put the code in, or
Or if the door was blown
the door
open
was
by the
blown
wind?
up. Well, weather's not included, but,
Okay.
anytime you accidentally trip your own alarm and, or you burn the bacon. Yeah.
Right, that's not a,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah,
It's not legitimate.
no, it's not legit, all right. Okay. All right, any other questions for Mary Ann and Laura on this one? This is good, I agree with this. We
Yeah.
should have had this a
Been
long
a long
time
time
ago.
coming.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Great
really
job.
an easy,
it's
should be
going to make
easy.
it
Yeah.
so much more efficient doing it this way.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Good. All right,
Thank
thanks
you.
Laura, thanks Mary Ann.
Thank you.
Oh, you
you.
stay there, Mary
Yeah, I
Ann.
know, I have to stay. Lucky.
All right, so Mary Ann, number 3, consider request to accept a proposal for LoSAP, Length of Service Award Program Services for Carmel Fire Protection Districts 1 and 2.
Yes, Penflex is the company that we use to administer our LoSAP programs for Fire Protection District Number 1 and 2. The cost for Fire Protection District Number 1 would be $6,600, and the cost for Fire Protection District Number 2 would be $7,200. This is something we do every year, so we just need authorization. It is budgeted in 2019 budget, so we just need authorization to accept this service fee agreement with PenFlex.
Okay, great, Marion. Any questions, comments? This is something we do annually.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
and you'll be back again for the other districts, right? The other protection?
No, this is the 2019, so this is Fire Protection District, just 1 and 2. So,
Oh, okay.
you know, this will come out of the 2019 budget. I'm just trying to get ahead of myself here to get the authorization,
All right, good.
so.
All right, sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Marion. All right, next one, 4, consider request to attend a New York State LRS Local Retirement System Seminar, October 26, 2018, in Pomona, New York. No charge to the town, along with Barbara Alasko, the payroll clerk.
Yeah, this actually is for Barbara Alasko to attend this seminar. I attended this seminar
Okay.
back in, I think it was April or May of this year, and it is a very informative seminar. So I think it's good to get Barbara involved, more so with, you know, the topics that are discussed, the membership, monthly reporting, elected and appointed officials, reporting of the time of retirement, post-retirement employment, planning for retirement, and Tier 5 and Tier 6 information. The seminar is located at the Rockland County Fire Training Center in Pomona, New York. There is no cost for this seminar, but it is, I went to it, and it was an all-day
informative?
seminar. It was very informative, yeah.
All right, Marion, is this something that maybe Eileen should attend also?
Eileen went already.
She did?
Yes,
Oh,
Eileen and
okay.
I both went in April. I
Got
think it was April or May.
Okay,
So I just think, because Eileen is kind of, transitioning Barbara into, to take on some of these functions.
Mhm.
So I think it's important for her to
yeah, I
get
agree.
involved in the training as well.
Yep. All right, perfect.
Okay?
Any questions, comments on this one for the training? No? Good. All right. That's it, Marianne, right?
Yep,
You're
that's
done?
it.
Okay.
Thanks, Marion.
Thank you.
Rich? Rich is speaking right now? Is there any other items?
Nope.
No.
So, Rich.
All Rich. Well, maybe there's
If
something we
start
can,
with this first one.
so let's start with the first one. Consider request to accept proposal for architectural design consulting services, Town of Carmel Planning Board.
I mean, the way I read this is that it's the existing firm that we have.
Yeah.
And they're just offering us an extended 3-year deal with one of the principals being the representative in the planning board.
Okay. Yep,
No problem.
I'm good with this.
Yep.
John? Yep. Okay. All right. John, you want to handle? You want
I
to
don't know
handle
the,
6?
I don't know the
Okay.
easement one.
All right, let me try.
I'm gonna go to Greg
let
on
me
the
try this
easement one.
Consider request for evaluation easement B Warring Drive. You know which one I can go to? Let me, I'll take care of 8.
You want this one?
You want to do this one?
I can help you with 6 if you want.
All right.
Because I've been involved with it probably since the summer. The owner of 33 Waring Drive, which is intersects with Fair Street, right around by the Fred Dill Preserve. They were looking to construct some improvements on their property, and what they found out is near the border of their property at the time the actual land was subdivided, there was a drainage easement granted in favor of the town of Carmel. And what the owner wanted to know is the easement of use, because he wanted to build in that area. And we told him what the process was between myself and Rob Vara. And I believe there was some highway involvement also, because it's drainage related, that we'd conduct some investigation of whether that easement was actually functioning as a drainage easement at this time, because the owner wanted to acquire it from the town. So there's an evaluation here, and the conclusion, after engineering doing so, if you look at the dates, they were out there in July, I mean, it was some time ago, that it doesn't serve any present or future purpose to the town, the actual easement. Sometimes that happens, property gets subdivided, and there's easements that are carved out, and the way that the actual subdivision is done with the grading and whatnot, it doesn't function that way. So you have a choice to make. The owner was asking that it be brought to the town board, and this evaluation was what we thought was a critical part of it. And obviously, if it was something that was integral to the system of the drainage system, it would be a no-brainer. The engineering department's determination, it really is not. So if you're inclined to consider conveying the interest or extinguishing the easement interest that the town has, there has to be an evaluation. There's some value to that number, and typically when we do that, if the town's going to convey any property interest, we have the assessor assign some value.
The one on Ellen Avenue, behind Villa Barone, for that
Yeah.
gentleman?
Babiar's.
Stan Babiarch?
And that was a fee interest. There was a piece of property owned by the town
Yeah.
that had no function, but we did get an evaluation
Did
from
the
the
assessor?
assessor. Yes, evaluation, and that was what it was. And I think we did one with the nursery here some time ago,
Yeah.
Maple Grove, as well. So that's usually the process. Rich can probably give a little more detail on it. Rich, we're doing the Waring Drive easement. I kind of gave him the broad strokes of the background.
Which one?
Waring Drive.
Waring Drive. Greg, would that be the same process with this particular one for the, as far as evaluation?
If you're going
of
to
the
quit
pro-
claim the easement interest back, there should be some valuation process that is done so the town is covered. If there's a value to it, then
Would the town assessor do that as well?
I think that's a suitable individual to do it.
Okay.
You could get an appraiser to do it. I'm not sure it needs to be that.
Oh,
You have to spend the money for that. but-
okay.
Number 7, Rich.
7.
Yes, you want me to present the memo? Or did you guys, I don't know
no,
how much
you're-
you discussed, I do apologize.
I jumped to your conclusion.
I appreciate that.
That it was,
Greg did cover some of 6. Is there anything else you weren't here, but he covered pretty much the whole item,
Okay.
right up to the conclusion.
so it's
Oh, so we're good. I don't have to
Yeah.
talk about Waring Drive.
No.
I apologize. Number 7. My bad. Well, I have to hit number 5, though. Did you guys talk
We
about
got
that?
5.
We did
John
it.
did 5.
Should I go home now?
I was going to do 8, but so,
All right.
you do
so-
7.
Oh, this is the East Hudson one. Okay, apologize. So, as the board is aware, we're members of the East Hudson Watershed Corporation. It's made up of 19 municipalities, Dutchess, Putnam, and Westchester. It's established as a regional stormwater entity in response to the heightened phosphorus removal requirements under the New York State DEC stormwater regulations. The East Hudson Watershed Corporation administers, coordinates, and installs retrofits within the watershed with funding made available by the New York City DEP, Westchester County, Putnam County, through the EOH. The member communities collectively achieve compliance through bubble compliance, so we all are in it. Each town, we have attached in the past, we've approved it in the past. It is the town's requirements to maintain the stormwater retrofits that have been installed, and we've adopted the East Hudson Watershed Policy as identified in a 2016 resolution. So what has been presented to us now is an agreement. Due to the bubble compliance, the town is required to pay for the O&M based on the overall phosphorus reduction, not just the SRPs in the town. Through the EOH through Putnam County provides the O&M for the stormwater retrofits in the town. What the EOH has provided to us is an agreement for the operation and maintenance of stormwater retrofits practices for the town of Carmel, which formalizes that the Putnam County will perform the O&M for the retrofits located in the town. We are still required to pay for the EOH, East of Hudson Watershed Corporation, for the maintenance under this bubble compliance. So that's what we're presenting here. So it's a formalization of an agreement that Putnam County will maintain our stormwater retrofits that have been installed as part of the East Hudson Watershed Corporation. Thanks, Rich.
Okay, Rich, go on to number 8.
So, being presented to the board, this memo was presented to the board to request payment of repair invoices. They are over the town of Carmel's procurement policy. Carmel Water District 12, leak at 12 Seminary Hill Road. On August 29th, Infomark, the operators of Carmel Water District 12, notified the department that a water line leak at 53 and 59 Tommy Court. Upon further investigation, it was determined that the service lines were leaking. Attached is an invoice in the amount of $6,838.72 for Cook Excavating to install and perform the repair, which included molding a new line under Tommy Court. in Carmel Water District 10, installing a flushing hydrant on September 2017, 2018. B&J, the operators for Carmel Water District 10, notified this department that they were installing a flushing hydrant proximate to 57 Senior Avenue. The installation was needed to alleviate brown water concerns from residents in the area. There's an invoice in the amount of $6,004 for Cook Excavating to install the flushing hydrant. Just so the board should know, I received an email earlier, which you'll see in another couple of weeks. Carmel Water District 12, well number 2, the pump failed, and we're going to have to replace that and repair that. So, and there's also a sewer pump in Sewer 4 at the Lake Shore Pump Station that also needs to be replaced, repaired. So those things will be coming up to the board. Since you're here, I'll let you know that versus sending an email advising you of it tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Rich.
I think just as an interjection on that point, I think things like this should help to reiterate the importance of us investing into an asset management plan. We have the quotes. We're going to look at getting that in the next couple of weeks. Mary Ann, myself, and Rich will be working on how we're going to fund this, but I think it's imperative if we're talking about a master plan and we're talking about the future of the town and what our infrastructure holds, we got to have an accurate inventory report. Difficult part is it's going to be expensive, but things like this really reiterate the importance of having it so we know what we're looking at and what our life expectancy should be and our turnover. So that'll be down in the future, but the three of us will be working on it to try to get good consolidated information for everybody. Thanks, Rich.
Okay, great. All right, Rich, so go on to number 9.
So this is a longer one. I apologize for the amount of information provided as part of your backup with this, but it's significant of importance. So that's why I made sure you guys had all the information. So we are responsible for, currently we are responsible for 3 dams in the town: Cassie, Upper Tea Kettle, and Tea Kettle Lake. They're classified as B dams, or intermediate hazard dams. And per the New York State DEC, engineering assessments are required. As a B dam, they're required every 10 years. A C dam, which is what Mahopac is required every 5 years because it's a high hazard dam. And an A dam does not require engineering assessments. So we're right in the middle. We're at a 10-year cycle. The board approved, and we sent out these investigations, and the EAs have been completed and submitted to the New York State DEC for review and approval. I've provided that to the board. There are necessary capital projects that need to be conducted to bring these dams into regulatory compliance. For instance, all 3 dams need maintenance, which includes, trees, woody brush, root systems should be removed, up and downstream faces or slopes of the dam. Root balls from trees larger than 10 inches in diameter should be removed and compacted, backfill placed into the root ball void. So that's a significant work. It's not something you can just go out there and just cut it, like if you wanted to get you can't just ask the lake groups, the lake, sorry.
Rich, this is mandated on us, right?
Yes, it is.
And with the information, you just said that you gave a lot of information in here, which is available to the public, which I recommend that anybody in the Lake Cassie or the Tea Kettle Dam areas read it, because it's mandated upon us to do it, and it's going to cost.
I've provided.
It's going to cost you.
Sorry. I provided the information to Dan Pearsall of the Tea Kettle District and to Terry Kelly, Bill Sicleri, and oh gosh, no.
That's right, as long as everybody knows.
But I've given it to their boards, at least the leaders of their boards, so that they can share it with their people within their own community.
Thanks, Rich.
So not hard copies, just electronic. So the other ones, which includes investigations, which are everywhere. All 3 dams have an issue with outlet pipes, hydraulic analysis of metal grates on them. There's things that are needed, geotechnical investigations, video inspections, which we've reached out to the engineering firm that was provided the EAs for us, Voight Engineering, to give us some kind of identified cost. We have some historical ones that we have, but we're recommending to go out for RFP to address these maintenance shortfalls, to figure out how to move forward based on the recommendations of the EAs by Voight Engineering. On a positive note, the upper Tea Kettle Lake, the Tea Kettle Lake, which we all call lower Tea Kettle Lake, it has been recommended that that be classified an A dam, so it's going from a B intermediate to an A, and a lot of these requirements would go away. The problem with that particular dam, I recommend that anybody go out there and look at it. It is not in good shape. There's a lot of seepage. It is collapsing. There are pictures within in the reports that show that is, while it doesn't have a lot behind it, it still is, and it can't cause irreparable damage downstream. It still is a structure, a masonry structure that has its issues and needs to be repaired or replaced. That would come out of the further investigations that are needed. So we'd get out of the EA system with this, but we still have to put some money forth with that.
Thanks, Rich.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Rich. Any other questions, Jonathan, on this one?
No, it's got to be done.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to do it, so.
Just,
keep moving
yes, sir.
forward. All right, so
I think that's all I have.
That's it.
So thank
Yep.
you.
Yep.
Thanks, Rich.
So that completes the agenda items for this evening's Town Board work session. Is there anybody here that wants to comment on the agenda items that we covered this evening? Just the agenda items right now? Yes, come on up, sir. Yep. I just need your name.
Nick Palillo. It's about number 6. I'm actually the owner of 33 Waring. I just wanted to express gratitude to the individuals who worked on the report, Mr. Franzetti, Mr. Varro in engineering, as well as Mr. Simone in highway, Mrs. Pasquarello, and Mr. Falchetti, and anybody else who was involved, and to say thanks for the board to consider.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Great. No, thank you for being here. You're welcome. So we'll get that, the appraisal done for it. Our assessor's going to do that. And, once we have the determination of some type of value, as the attorney mentioned, we'll move forward with it. So,
Happy to get it back on the
Yeah.
right roll.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you.
yeah, great. We'll keep in touch. Thanks a lot. Okay. Anyone else? Anybody here for the open forum, new business portion of the meeting? No, I didn't think so. Okay. All right, any announcements? John, you have any? Mike? No, I don't have any either. We do have to go back into executive session for 2 items. Mary Ann Maxwell, Town Controller, to discuss the budget 2019 personnel items, and also continued budget discussions with respect to personnel for 2019. I need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
So moved. I need a second. Seconded by Councilman Schneider and Councilman Borelli. All those in favor? Aye. Good night, everyone. Be well. We'll be closing the meeting from executive session. We're not going to be coming back out here. We'll see you next week for a town board voting meeting.